Hi, I'm Mike Stickney with Westin Automotive Products. We're here to talk about our Westin HDX LED Grill. This one in particular is a part number 34-1095. This one fits the 2012 to 2018 Dodge Ram 2500, 3500, and we're going to go ahead and show you the box we've got. This is a box that's actually able to ship FedEx and UPS, so it ships on small parcel post, so you don't have that large truck freight to need. So we do have instructions that come with this product. You want to make sure you review your instructions. It's really important that you make sure that you understand them, know what steps you have to take. When it comes to the tools that are needed, they're going to possibly vary depending on the vehicle install. This one in particular, the tools that are needed is a 10mm socket, 6mm hex tool, the ratchet, torque wrench, and depending on the wrenches, depending on the vehicle, and we'll get into this as well, you can use a couple different tools from an access point going up underneath the bumper. All right, now we've got the HDX LED Grill out of the box. What we want to talk about here is we'll show you a couple of the features on it now that it's out of the box. As you can see here with the LEDs that are in it, it does come with the LEDs already installed in the grill. So you don't have to worry about having to add those after the fact. What you purchased includes the LED grills. And as you can see here, it also includes the wiring harness, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Each of these is unique depending on the application. Again, this one's for the Dodge Ram 3500. So the lighting configuration is going to be a little bit different, potentially for your vehicle if you're putting this on something else. Also, what we'll look at here is on the back side, the way that this mounts up. Being the LED grill, we took a lot of measures to make sure that you didn't have to damage what you already have. So we've made it to where you can actually take this factory grill and you're going to be able to uninstall it without having to cut, weld, drill, anything at all. It's a straight bolt-on, bolt-off application. You can see the factory mount locations, so there's 6 mounting locations on this Dodge Ram. So we have the studs here that are already preset in the grill, and we'll be able to show you on the install how those go on and how easy it actually is. The other thing I wanted to touch on here is for the wiring harness. With this wiring harness, we actually have 2 inline fuses. It also has an inline relay and the button switch. The 2 inline fuses are interesting because you have one fuse that's going to go for the switch, so that if you have a short or a problem there, it'll blow out on that, but it won't short out everything else, and then you have a 20 amp fuse that goes straight to the battery. So a unique piece there. There are some vehicles that you may be able to run the factory wiring harness, and you can run it straight to the pigtails on the back of the LEDs. What I would recommend for that is that you go in and make sure that the amperage is going to be the right amperage, that you're not going to exceed any of those tolerances. And if you have any questions or any problems, you can always call the tech department at Westin Automotive and or contact your dealership and find out what they have to say about it. So before we get into the install here, there's a couple of things that you need to do. One of them is you're going to want to disconnect the battery. We always recommend disconnecting the battery, specifically when you're working with the electrical side of it. It's extremely important. Then you want to make sure you've got your instructions out. There's a reason we put them in the box, so look at those. What we're going to do is we'll show you this in a little bit more detail as we go into it. But you're going to remove the top panel here, which goes over the top of the radiator. You're going to remove the 6 bolts that are in the grill. So in this particular case, there's 4 on the top, and then there's 2 on the bottom. And like we talked about earlier, you may actually have to remove the front bumper depending on your tools and your access to be able to get into it. In this case, we're able to access it because we have our Westin HDX front bumper already on here that gives you a little bit more access than a factory bumper. But just kind of look at that ahead of time, assess what you're going to be. But this is all bolt-on application. So it's really not a difficult thing to install. You can do it with hand tools, you do not need power tools, and you do not need a lift to do this. So once you've removed the battery, you remove these other components, which we'll do in a second. We'll be able to pull the factory grill out, and then we'll be able to show you how to put our grill in. Before you install the HDX LED grill, the one thing that you can do, or that you probably should do, is make sure that the lights are adjusted properly the way you want. One of the great features of this is you can actually rotate these lights up or down. So you can see here where I can rotate it down, I can rotate it up, so you can have it in that spot that you want. Maybe you want it facing a little bit further down towards the road. You have that option with all of these lights. The other thing you have the option to do is you can actually extend the slide out a little bit. It does have a bracket on the back here, which I'll show you, that gives you the opportunity to be able to slide it. So you've got this bracket here, so it's actually got some adjustability to it. And then what you do is you just take an Allen wrench and you tighten this down. I would recommend at least looking at this and considering it before you put the grill on the vehicle, because access does get a little bit tight behind here, and it just makes it a little bit easier on you. So as you can see here, we're going to remove the bolt. It's a plastic plug basically. You've got 4 of these plugs. You can use a flathead screwdriver. You can use any number of tools. There's also they actually make a plastic tool that pops them up. It's in there pretty snug, so be careful. And what you definitely don't want to do is you don't want to lean your screwdriver onto your factory grill because it is plastic and it could break it. So once you pop those out, just remove that piece out and you're ready to go. All right, now what we're going to do is take our 10mm socket and we're going to go ahead and remove the bolts out of the top, and then we'll go to the lower afterwards. So you get the 4 bolts on the top, we're going to remove those, and then we'll remove the bottom ones. So at this point, we're going to show you on the lower part, it's actually, all you have to do is take and pull the grill back. But what we recommend is that you use a screwdriver, and it helps to pry it out a little bit, so you're not just pulling on the grill and potentially breaking the plastic clips. And then once you have those 2 clips, there's one on each side, then you can go ahead and pull the grill straight out and remove it off. So at this point, you've got your 2 lower parts. What we're going to do is we're going to lift the grill. And you do need to lift it out so you don't break the tabs off. So you lift the grill and then you pull it out. And you need to be careful when you do this so that, again, you don't break the factory part of the grill. So once we have this out, we can just go ahead and pick it straight off. And we have the grill out and it's ready for our new Westin HDX Grill. All right, what we're looking at here is the lower bolts that we need to do to put our brackets in. So you've got your 2 bolts on either side right next to the headlight bezel. We're going to go ahead and we'll use our 10mm bolt, our socket, to loosen that. Be sure to keep your factory screws because you will need the factory screws to put the top ones on as well as the lower ones. So now what we'll do is we'll actually install the brackets. At this time you need to loosely install the aftermarket brackets that are going to be for the Westin HDX Grill using the factory screws that you just took out, taking your 10mm socket, and again, loosely tightening these brackets. You do not want to over tighten them. You will have to access this in order to adjust the height of the grill once you have them in. So now that we have that in, we'll go ahead and move on to the top. All right, at this point, we're going to take the HDX bracket that came with our Westin HDX Grill. We're going to take that bracket, we're going to take our factory bolt, and we're going to stick it in there. Be sure to put it on there nice and loose. You do not want to over tighten this piece because again, there's going to need to be some adjustment to this bracket. We're going to do this same thing for all 4 brackets on the top. Note there are different brackets for the center section as well as for the outside section, so make sure that you put the right bracket into the right spot. Make sure that you use the right screw. You'll see here that there is a difference between the screws. You have the screws that go into the plastic top here that we're going to use on the outside. You have a different bolt that goes into the middle. So again, be sure you use the right bolts. Using your 10mm ratchet, you'll tighten these down. This bracket angles in. And then we also have our other bracket here that's going to go on the outside. These are the top section brackets that we're doing. We've already put the lower brackets in. Again, you want to put those in nice and loose so that you can do the adjustment as needed. You'll see the angles here. This one points up and in as well. Again, if in doubt, check it, hold the grill up, and you'll get a better idea of how it all mounts up. All right, at this time we're going to go ahead and take the Westin HDX Grill. We're going to put it up here. It's always best if you have somebody that can help you do this. It's not an extremely light grill. It is made out of steel. It's you know, it's going to be a pretty durable piece, so it has a little weight to it. And with the LED lights mounted in there, that increases the weight. So it's always good to have a friend over, you know, just so you don't scratch anything or damage things. What we did is we went ahead and took this. We went ahead and brought it up here. It's all just being held on right now. We're now going to take our M6 nuts and washers. that are included in the hardware pack, and we're going to loosely put those on to these top posts first. So we'll take the flat washer first, we'll stick that on there, then we're going to take our lock washer, and then we'll take our nut. And again, these are a 10 millimeter nut that you're going to go ahead and put on. Right now you're just loosely putting everything on so that it holds the grill up. There's going to be some alignments that need to be done here after the fact, and once we get everything tightened down, we'll have a good feel for where it needs to be. And then once you get the top section on, we'll go ahead and we'll move down to the bottom nuts. These ones are a little tougher to access from the top, so it's probably best to access those from underneath. But the same thing, we'll do the washer, the flat washer, the lock washer, and then the nut on the bottom as well. Now that we've got the Westin HDX LED grill installed, we've aligned it, we've made the adjustments forward to back, up and down, so it is nice and clean and aligned. Again, I recommend having a friend to help you so that it's a little bit harder to do by yourself, but yet doable anyhow. At this point, we're going to go ahead and do the LED wiring. What we have here is the grill already has the female connector for the pigtail LED mounts or the wiring harness mounts, and it's got one for each light. So you've got your outside light, your center light, and your other outside light here. With the wiring harness that was included with your HDX LED grill, it also comes with 3 pigtail connectors. So this is a feature that is not on our normal wiring harnesses for our LED lights. It's specific to the HDX LED grill. Again, as we talked about earlier, it has your inline relay. It also has 2 inline fuses. So it has a 20 amp inline fuse that goes to the battery, and a 5 amp inline fuse that goes to your switch, just to keep from shorting things out. So what we'll do here is we'll go ahead and get this plugged in. And then what we'll do is we'll show you how the wiring is done. This is just to show you kind of how everything plugs in on this end. I would recommend running the wiring from the front to the back, or from the inside of the engine compartment first, before you plug these in, just from an ease standpoint. And then that just shows you how these simply plug in. We'll show you a little bit closer detail on how these connectors work. And then when you do it, you're going to want to run these underneath, stow them away, zip tie them down, use some electrical tape if you need to get them hidden, because you can see through this grill. So just take a little extra time to do it nice and clean. All right, now that we've got our Westin HDX LED grill mounted up, installed, all the wires are ran, everything's ready to go, we need to go ahead and put the fan shroud back in place to protect everything else. Get that clipped in, and keep in mind, if you protected it and took care of it when you were pulling it out, you will go ahead and be able to use the factory plastic clips. Keeping in mind, you now only use the 2 outside clips. The 2 that were in the middle are no longer needed. They won't go down in because the grill itself, those brackets don't have it. There's not holes in those tabs. So you're just going to use the 2 outside ones, and it's nice and secure. We'll go ahead and show you the look. Here we have it, obviously, with our HDX bumper on here, with the pre-runner LED grill, or LED bar on here as well. The cool part about this is it doesn't interfere with the beam of the light. So whether you have it, whether you don't, it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. But as you can see here, we have our Westin HDX grill all mounted up, 11 gauge steel, powder coated black. It has a lifetime warranty on the LEDs, and a 5-year warranty on the powder coating. It's going to hold up real nicely with the mesh punch plate in the grill as well. Here we have our mesh. It's a punch plate mesh, so it actually comes out and conforms, gives a little bit of dimension to it. You've got the bracket that all the LED lights are mounted to, as well as the little rivets that just kind of give it a nice clean finish. Topped off with our nice Westin logo right in the middle. Just a really great clean piece that accents your truck.